Hi, I'm Debbie and welcome to Book and Bujo. Today I'm going to go through the eReader book tag that was put together and created by Michael Cummins, and I will leave his channel linked below. So I want to say a big thank you to Bart J. Gilbertson from Book Rising for tagging me in this eReader book tag, as I am an avid e-reader and I have over 3,500 books on my Kindle. So if it takes 1,000 books to make a library, I have a library on my Kindle. The first question is, what was the first e-reader you ever owned, and what was your reason for getting one? Were you a reluctant convert or an eager one? So my very first e-reader was the second edition Kindle. It was white. It had the buttons on the side moving the pages, and then it had like a little actual keyboard buttons on the bottom of it. I bought that in, I believe, February of 2012, and it lasted me almost 2 years. I had it through November of 2013 before it just stopped turning on. It just decided to die. So I was very sad. It was very sad. So then I bought my second Kindle, which was in November of 2013, because as soon as it died, I went on and had to get another one because I love e-readers. And that one was the 6th edition Kindle Paperwhite, and it is actually the one I still use today. So this one has lasted me almost 10 years now. So when you take care of them, they can last for a while. So the next part of the question is, what was your reason for getting one? Well, I traveled back then I traveled and we were commuting back and forth. My husband and I both lived and worked. So we lived in Tucson and we were commuting to Prescott quite a bit because we still had family in Prescott, and traveled a little bit for work, and bringing physical books was difficult. Reading in the car at night was difficult because you had to have flashlights or book lights, and so we tried all of that, and just the Kindle was perfect because it had a light on it. I could read in the dark. I could bring multiple books with me when I traveled. I didn't have to, have 20 pounds of books in my luggage. And yeah, I was very eager to get one. So the last part of that question is, were you a reluctant convert or an eager one? I was definitely eager. Question number 2. What e-reader do you use now, and what e-readers do you own? So the only e-reader I still own is my 6th edition Kindle Paperwhite. I did have to replace the cover. My cover did die. I had one that actually flipped this way and then it folded over so you could actually have it stand up. But I just thought this one was so beautiful when I replaced it, and it opens this way. It's harder to stand and lean on its own, but it still does the job. I do have, let me see if I can find a screen that shows it. I do have 2 cracks in my screen. So I have one here, and I have one that's right down here. And it does actually bleed some light through, but it's still working. The one down here, I know what happened. I dropped it on the corner, and after that I had that crack. This one that's up here, I have no idea how that happened, but it still works, and it doesn't get in the way of anything. You can still read the words in those sections, so it's very durable. Yeah, so it's the only one I have, and I will use it until it dies. There are some I'm interested in. I am interested in the newest Kindle Paperwhite that has the wireless charging, as well as the Kindle Scribe is intriguing. Not sure if it's something it might be a little overkill for me. I do like that you can listen to the audiobooks on it and have your ebooks that you could take notes and annotate. Not sure if I want to upgrade quite that much, at least at that cost. I think I would prefer to wait and see in the next year or two if they come out with a colored one and maybe switch to that, or just stick with my typical Kindle Paperwhite, and if I decide there's a book I want to annotate and take notes on, I can just purchase an iPad, because there's a lot more options with annotating that way. Not sure yet. Just going to keep reading this one till it dies. All right, next question. Do you read digitally on multiple devices or always the same device? And if you use multiple, how do you decide which one to use? So I do use multiple devices. So I use my Kindle, I use my phone, I use my laptop. I always choose my Kindle first. It's the easiest to read from. If I'm out and about and I don't have my Kindle, then I'll use my phone. Or if I'm reading a Kindle Vella, I use my phone for that. I also do use my computer. So if I have a library borrow from like Hoopla or Libby or from my library itself, you can get ebooks from them as well. Then I typically use that read those on my computer, but if I'm out and about and I have those, I will read those on my phone as well. But my first choice is always my Kindle over phone or computer. Question number 4. Do you still read physical books? And if so, how do you decide which format to read a certain book in? So yes, I do still read physical books. I do love physical books. I just tend to read a lot slower when I'm reading physically. And then I also do this weird thing, so I can show you. So I'm reading, this started when I was in high school civics class, and the content of the class was not quite as engaging as I would like it to have been. And in class, they would have us read through the chapters, and trying not to fall asleep and trying to figure out, okay, how many pages do I still have left to read? I would start to do this. And I'd be like, okay, when's the chapter over? And so now I have this weird thing when I'm reading in a book, physical book, I just start flipping through the pages, which is extremely irritating to anyone who might be in the room with me. My husband's always like, oh my gosh, just stop. And it's been so long, I haven't been able to break the habit of doing that. Even like with reading with my Kindle, I don't have that problem at all. But as soon as I pick up a physical book, that habit's just so ingrained in me now that I still do it. It's really annoying. So I do try and read ebooks because of that reason. But I love physical books. I love how they look. I love the smell of them. I love just the paper and opening them, and I love all of that. But I do prefer reading on my Kindle. So how do I choose between? Typically, I have the ebook because it's cheaper. Sometimes I get the books for free, and if I really like the book, that's when I'll buy it physically. Or if I can't find the book, I'll get it from my library, so then I read the physical book, but then I return it. But basically, if I have it on my Kindle, I read it on my Kindle. If I have the physical book, I read the physical book. Question number 5. What is something you dislike about reading ebooks? The biggest thing is, and I just came across it in one of the books that I was reading, if it has a map in it, you can't blow it up enough to really like look at it really good and find out all the little details and everything. So it's really hard to see images, and like if there's like a family tree and you go to blow it up, it goes from being this big to being this big, and that's not really that helpful. So that's my biggest complaint about an e-reader, or the biggest thing I don't like as much about e-readers. Also, that they don't come in color. I'm sure in some ways you can get them in color. I don't know if Kindle Fire does color, or if you're looking at your iPad or whatever, it may come colored, but the e-reader I have is not in color, so that's a drawback as well. Question number 6. Would you ever ditch physical books completely and become a sole ebook reader? If yes, why? If no, why not? No, I would never ditch physical books completely. I love physical books, and I do like having them around, but for my physical book collection, I want those to be the ones that I love, that I really enjoy, and that I want to just have forever, and be able to display them when they're beautiful, and just be able to pick them up and annotate if I want, go back through and look at the quick little spots that I want to just maybe reread a portion here or there. Also, it's great if there's like a glossary or how to pronounce things. Sometimes it's nice to have the ebook and the physical book together, because then you can flip back and forth easier on a physical book than you can on an ebook. It's not really easy to go back to like chapter 2 if you're on chapter 40 and be like, oh yeah, that was in there, it was in chapter 2 somewhere, and you kind of keep looking, and then you're like, wait, what page was I on? Yeah. So physical books are great in that aspect, being able to flip back and forth and keep your place and everything. But yeah, I do tend to read the ebook first, and then if I fall in love with the book, then I get the physical copy. Question number 7. Where do you get your ebooks? Kindle store, library loans, third-party websites, or where else? So I do get most of my ebooks from Amazon. So I'm also signed up for BookBub and FreeBooksy, which is where I get some of my books. They can have a lot of discounted books or ones that might be on sale, and if there's any free ones that week, you can get a newsletter that tells you those things if you're interested in those ones. You can also separate some of them by genre if you only want to hear about nonfiction books or classic books or fantasy or sci-fi or horror or whatever. You can do that as well. I also get books from BookFunnel, Library Borrows, Hoopla, Libby, and some other places like that where you can get your ebooks. All right, question number 8. We're at the end. So tag some fellow booktubers. Most of the booktubers I follow really love their physical books, so there's not a lot of hardcore e-reader booktubers out there that I know of yet. If you know of some, please let me know in the comments. I would love to check them out and to join in with them, because I do love me an ebook. It's just so convenient, and just traveling, you could pick it up 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 10 minutes over here, bring it in the car, standing in line at the grocery store, or just whip out your phone or your e-reader. You can't, it's harder to pull your physical book out while you just have a couple minutes. It's just so convenient. I think that's what I love the most about ebooks. Back to tagging people, I'm going to tag some people that I know that do have e-readers that may just be getting started with it, or have decided to try out Kindle Unlimited or something like that, so they do have their e-reader. Sid Bookworm, who just posted a video about trying out Kindle Unlimited for the first time, Peruse Project, The Roomies Digest, and Tatiana Voigt, who have all done a video or two on e-reader books. Also Danny at The Last Chapter, as I know she recently got a Kindle. So thank you for joining me today at Book and Bujo, and hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos from me. Be sure to leave a comment on, what do you like best? Do you like e-readers? Do you like physical books? Do you prefer audiobooks? Maybe you don't like either and you just want to listen as you go about your day. Let me know in the comments. And thank you one more time to Bart J. Gilbertson from Book Rising for tagging me in this post, as well as Michael Cummin for creating this tag. I'll see you next time. Bye.